For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. And let's get to it, Tim. Let's continue this conversation, man, and get to the next corner that is that's on the Packers. I don't want to say short-lived. There's going to be other corners they're going to have top 30 visits with. This is just where we're at right now. But that next guy is Mr. Trey Amos. I know you
Here's the guy.
I know you've been busy doing way more important things than talking with us knuckleheads on the pod the last few days. We didn't get your take on Trey Amos yet. Before we dive into the scouting report from Dane Brugler, he's in for a top 30 visit. We've kind of been on this guy from the get-go. Like, he's one of those corners that I haven't been able to see him as a first-round talent. Many people are starting to see him as a first-round talent according to the mocks. We would love him at 54, though. What do you think about the fact that they had Trey Amos in for a top 30 man?
Oh, I'm fired up about that. I saw that come across on the Patreon. I was pretty excited about that. It's a good sign. I agree with you that maybe first round is a bit of a reach, but Trey Amos is certainly top-tier cornerback talent in this draft, and that's definitely a guy if maybe we do break the mold and go wide out in the first round, or even if you did grab a 3-tech and you want to try and get that corner early before things kind of dry up. If Trey Amos is there at 54, you take the guy for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. All right, let's do it. 1-year starter at Ole Miss. Now, you hear that and you go, he only started 1 year. He also played at Bama, if I remember correctly. And then he played at Louisiana Lafayette as well. So we've done a detailed scouting report. You guys can go check that out on the Patreon group. It's right in there. Just scroll down a couple posts and you'll see top 30 visit schedule, Trey Amos, and we did a full scouting reports, PFF grades, RAS, high school background, injury history, character concerns, all that stuff. 1-year starter at Ole Miss, Amos was an outside cornerback and defensive coordinator Pete Golding's diverse coverage scheme, press man, off man, zone, etc. You love to hear that, Tim. He's played it all. After 3 years at Louisiana, I think that was Louisiana Lafayette, he transferred to Alabama and played behind Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold. After Nick Saban retired, Amos made the move to Ole Miss, where he had his breakout season with an SEC best 16 passes defended. So he's covering SEC defenders. He left because Nick Saban retired. You can't, blame him for that, not knowing how the program's going to go, right? I'm sure he got a little chunk of change in his pocket to go play for Ole Miss too. Can't blame a man for that. A good-looking athlete. Amos is a professional pesterer. I love that word, right? I guess he's a pest of receivers. With the way he reads receivers, crowds break points / catch points, and never stops ball searching with his length. Whether in man or zone, he has a feel for phasing up receivers from different alignments. His time speed is better than his play speed, however, and there is some stiffness in his change of direction. Overall, Amos has an appetite for press, but I liked him best in zone. Cover 2, cover 3, quarters, where he can trust his athletic instincts from depth to read and rally. His super senior season convinced evaluators that he is a pro starter, similar in ways to Paulson Adebo. His grade, a second-round talent, according to Dane Brugler. What do you think, Tim? How do we feel about Trey?
I love it. I mean, kind of the opposite of what we just talked about, right?
Right.
Here's a zone corner, right? I like what it says about crowding the break points and catch points on these receivers. Sometimes as a corner, the best thing you can do is just take that correct step at the right time during a route, and it's all the defense you need to bust up that play. So I think that's a strong suit to Amos's game, is that he kind of has a knack for that, almost a sixth sense for kind of, reading a receiver in a different way. It's one thing to, try and figure out what route he's running, and it's another thing to know when he's going to make that break or hit the top of that route. So I think that's a strong suit. Clearly the football IQ is pretty high with this one, and he's only 23, so all the age stuff goes out the window, right? So he's definitely young enough for sure.
Yeah, hopefully, right?
Yeah,
there's going to be somebody complaining about it, I promise you. Coach Lynn says, which corner is more the Packers type? When you say Packers type, I think of two different things, Coach. Like Goody type, or what would best fit Hafley's defense? Because I feel like there's two different things there, to be honest with you.
We're talking Hafley's defense. I think it's Amos.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can be more versatile, right? Yep. We just talked about essentially what you've got here is Savone Revel, when healthy, is a better press man corner than Trey Amos. But other than that, it sounds like Trey Amos is better than Savone Revel from an instinct standpoint and have an experience playing in a multiple defense, both cover 2, cover 3, quarters, and man coverage, right? So you kind of cover all the bases there. But you come back to Savone Revel, a much better athlete in most cases there, right? Because he was very, very fast, and he's got, I think, a little more length on him than maybe a Trey Amos does. So both of them have positives to their game. If you were to say, remove the grades, look at those 2 scouting reports, which one do you want? I'm probably leaning toward Trey Amos.
Yep.
But when you unveil our board, you go, wait a minute, Savone Revel is significantly higher on our board. So it's tough, man. It's a tough decision.
I think the Amos has the edge a little bit too because of the lack of the injury concern, right? I mean, we just downplayed the injuries, with Revel because they're probably not going to affect him, but they are there. You have to consider the guy had a torn ACL and a partially torn meniscus, right? What are you going to do? Amos has a pretty clean injury history the past couple of years, so that might give him a little bit of an edge on some people's boards.
He could, for sure. All right, here are the strengths when it comes to Trey Amos. Impressive height, weight, speed athlete, quality play strength, and doesn't get punked by receivers. Comfortable close to the line where he can smother slants and underneath routes. Love that. Aggressively plays through hands to turn catches into incompletions. That's what I was talking about earlier about attacking the catch point, right? Times ball attacks well, doesn't let length go to waste, always on alert, and route awareness continues to improve. Has a little extra in the tank to close out throws. Love that. Plenty to like about effort in the run game. There we go, baby. He can tackle. Violently attacks and defeats stalk blocks. You remember that stalk block we ran last year a lot. Plays on punt return coverage all 5 seasons and had blocked PAT in 2022. He has 562 career special team snaps. You're getting basically a veteran on special teams as a rookie. That's interesting.
Love it.
Yeah, saw action in 61 career games, and his final season was the best one. So you talk about Greg Cosell mentioning players who are ascending into the league. It sounds like one here, Tim.
Yeah, you had me at quality play strength and doesn't get punked by receivers. Like, come on, And then you talk about the impressive height, weight, speed combination with him, right? He's kind of right where you want him to be in those thresholds. And then again, the timing, the ball attacks well, doesn't let his length go to waste. Knows how to play in proximity to the receiver, and we don't see anything about the late hands or the too physical with the hands drawn flags. So clearly, this guy's playing with his feet, playing with his mind, and knows how to be around the ball and turn potential catches into incompletions, and that's what you want a corner to do.
Yep, Holmes MD1 says Amos is the picture of a backer. I feel like it too, man. I really do, really do. All right, let's get to the weaknesses. There's always going to be weaknesses, right? Upright mover with hints of tightness in turns. Feet get a tad clunky at the top of routes, creating slight hitch. Can lose receivers deep after misstep or double move. Likes to play physical, but made it way too easy for officials on 2024 Kentucky tape. Balance gets away from him at times, including as a breakdown tackler. Struggled to find tape of him blitzing, so he doesn't have any blitzing experience. Missed 2 games as a sophomore because of a hamstring injury, August of 2022. I'm not really concerned about that hammy.
Me neither.
So
I'm not concerned about him blitzing either. We
Right.
can dial Keyshawn up on a blitz or Hobbs or, Javon Bullard. There's other ways to blitz from your secondary. So, that's not a big negative to me. None of these are deal breakers, right? Upright mover with hints of tightness and turns. Again, work on your craft, man. You can get better. Clunky at the top of routes, creating a slight hitch. Same thing, right? That can be worked on. Can't wait to see him out there with Coach Ansley, So let's see.
Joseph in the chat says Amos/Revel or Jihad Campbell. Ooh, that's tough, man. We got Revel in the 26 spot, right? We've got Jihad Campbell in the 22 spot. Now, when you look at the tiers, Jihad Campbell is 1 tier higher. However, he's got that injury that's going to keep him out for a pretty good chunk of the season. So when you look at Savone Revel, right, or Amos is probably the healthier of the 3. But Savone Revel is significantly higher on our board than Trey Amos. So I would probably narrow it down between Revel and Jihad Campbell. And I would take Revel simply because Jahad Campbell is banged up. If Jahad Campbell was going to be ready week 1, hands down, there's no questions asked, I'd probably take Jahad Campbell over Savone Rebel, because now you pop him into that linebacker room and you can be really, really aggressive. And all right, if Quay doesn't work out, then you've got Jahad Campbell ready to roll alongside Edgerrin Cooper, because Jahad is really, I mean, he's looking like a great football player coming out of college. He was someone who was an edge defender they converted to stack backer, and he was a great edge defender, and he played stack backer even better than edge defender. He's just one of those dudes, right? So now check this out. What if you were to draft the Jahad Campbell if he was healthy, and now all of a sudden he's competing with Isaiah McDuffie and Tyron Hopper for that third linebacker role in your base 4-3, okay? And let's say that he beats out Quay for that second linebacker. No. Let's say Quay balls out too, right? Well, guess what? Now you've got a third starter that is, when injuries are going to occur at the linebacker position, you would have a third starter to plug right in that nickel 4-2-5 if Quay or Cooper goes down, right? So that's what we're talking about, sticking to the board, trust the board. It's just that injury with Jahad Campbell, that torn labrum, is going to keep him out a significant amount of time. So I would probably go, of those 3 that you mentioned, and it has to be pick 23, I would go Savone Rebel, me personally. So,
I would agree. I would agree with that. I'd probably lean towards Amos.
Would you?
Yeah, that'd be my pick. But I think you're right, though. It's important to say that with Campbell because, do you want to? I don't care how great he is. Do you want to take a first-round pick and use it on a guy that's banged up? Period. Regardless of what you think, you're bringing him into camp and he's going to be hurt. It's tough to draft a first-round guy with a active injury.
Yeah. Antonio Universe says the Packers should probably take a wideout in either the first or second round. Amos wouldn't be a bad pick at 54. He'd be a great pick at 54.
Yeah.
He's still there. Maybe they take Burden / T-Mac in the first round. I think T-Mac will be gone. And me personally, Antonio, and I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong here, I like Emeka Egbuka way better than Luther Burden. Way better. We got Luther Burden with a 25.8 grade, low number wins. And Emeka Egbuka is a 20.6. He was a team captain. The Packers met with him early. He meets the athletic threshold, and he was a top 30 visit. And when you look at, kind of who Greg Cosell liked the most, he liked them both pretty much the same. We both gave him a 3-point bonus there. Emeka Egbuka's RAS is in the 9+, right? And Luther Burden's was incomplete. So, significantly higher on our board, Emeka Egbuka. I would be Emeka Egbuka with that first round pick. Now, if Tet McMillan's there, yes, run the card. I don't think he's going to get past Dallas. I really don't. So, we broke it down at 1-9, Tim, and it was early in the draft process, but boy, oh boy, there was like 7 teams that could potentially take Tet McMillan before we get the pick, right?
Yep, absolutely. And again, I would be very, very surprised if we drafted a receiver in the first round. I would.
All right. 2-0 for this, rolling in here late. Man, you kidding me?
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late? Sit your butt outside.
There you go, 2-0 for this. Good to see you in here, buddy. Hit that like button if you don't care. We're going to give you the Jeff Halfley stare, though, while we go there. So. All right. Let's finish up this article real quick. Great questions in the chat tonight, guys. You guys are killing it in there. Of these 2 prospects, both would not be great value at pick 23 based on our PTA big board. They would both be outstanding value if they drop to pick 54. Now here, and you see this part of our board here. These are all the top 30 visits. So you'll notice if you follow my cursor, I know it's hard to read. You'll see Savone Rebel there is the higher of the 2. As you can see, Trey Amos down here. But Tim, you notice how Trey Amos is in the gold, right? Yeah. That means Senior Bowl participant. Packers love their Senior Bowl guys, right? And he was a top 30 visit. So the reason Savone Rebel isn't in gold, he was not a Senior Bowl participant. East-West Shrine Bowl, but the Packers love that Senior Bowl. Now you'll notice the black spade on the left now. That means not only were they a Senior Bowl participant and a top 30 visit, but they also meet the athletic threshold as well. So you've got all 3 of those. So those spades are going to be like prime for the picking. So right now we got 3 spades on our PTA big board. That's Shamar Stewart in the 13 spot, TJ Sanders in the 40, I think maybe the 39 spot. Looks like the 39 spot's hard to read on this screen grab. And then Trey Amos in that 45 spot. So again, man, I think those golds really good chance the Packers go with those guys, or at least a small portion of them. But those spades seem like perfect slam dunk fits for the Packers. And notice too on the spades, this is not a part of the equation here either, Tim. None of those three that have the spades have a red box in 24, so there should be no injury concerns there. So very interesting.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
All right, cool. So there you go, man. There's your, like I said, potential cornerbacks at 23 and maybe even 54. Those are the ones that kind of meet the criteria. And who knows, man, this guy may be coming back too. Ja may be back. Imagine if Ja comes back and you land either Savone Rebel and Trey Amos, or Trey Amos with that top pick. That cornerback room all of a sudden looks like a damn good one, does it not?
Took it down the sideline, turned over my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
There you go. All right. So
I feel bad for Kalen King if that happens, though.
Yeah, Kalen King, get comfortable in our practice squad, buddy. Yeah. That's space, right? Watch him come out, put on 10 pounds of muscle, and just absolutely blow everybody's mind in camp, too. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? 2-0 for this says, long snapper should be seen and not heard this show. Quote this show. There was a long snapper the Packers met with, and I almost tagged you in that tweet, 2-0 for this. And I'm like, nah, I ain't going to do it. Ain't going to do it. So, all right, there's your cornerback talk. Let's do this. Let's shift gears here. We could go a multitude of directions. We got a couple of things I wanted to hit on. Actually, we were just talking about Savone Rebel. I should have done it earlier. I knew I was going to forget. Just want to mention this briefly, that the 33rd team in their most recent mock draft has Shedeur Sanders going to Cleveland in that mock draft, as you can see here with the 20th pick. Love to see that. Notice Jackson Dart going 21, Tim. That's great news too, if that were to happen, right? But look, Emeka Egbuka goes one pick before the Packers. But look who they have the Packers mocking here. Savone Rebel Jr. out of East Carolina. So 33rd team seems to think that would be the case there for the Packers at 23. Just wanted to briefly mention that before I forgot. So, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Back to back with Ezra Thomas, too, another guy we kind of looked at. I think you're right, though. I'd be cool with Amos or Rebel if we're going to go corner in the first round.
I would, too. I wouldn't hate it. I mean, the board would say, that's a reach for Amos. But, again, if Goody takes him at 23, that means Goody has got him way higher than we do. And that's exciting. It really is. So, all right, let's see here. Let's talk a little James Pierce Jr., a little preview for tomorrow's show if everything works out. We are going to have I've already forgotten his name now. How rude of me. Give me just 1 second here. I've got the text message. Dave Hooker, who talks University of Tennessee football, got his own YouTube channel, does radio stuff over the years. Awesome dude. He's going to potentially come on tomorrow and give us the scoop on James Pierce Jr., okay? And the reason he's going to do that, Tim, you've heard there's character issues. Like I was telling Jacob this morning, Tim, I have no idea what Dave Hooker's going to say. Dave Hooker may come in here and go, you do not want this dude on your football team, right? I did not ask him for a tip. I didn't say, hey, how do you feel about it? I wanted it to be organic in the conversation. He may also come in here and go, nah, that was all bull. I'm about to say the bad word. That was all BS. So if that's the case, great. But look at this right here, 33rd team. I was just coming through Twitter, and this came across the wire. Highest percentage of pass rushes with a pressure last season for the top edges in the draft. James Pierce Jr. at 23.4% led the way. Then Braden Swinson, Greg Cosell absolutely loves him. A little bit later guy. I don't know if he's going to go in the top 3 rounds. He may go in the second round. I'm almost positive he's not going to be a first-round pick. Then he's at 20.1%. Abdul Carter, 19.6%. Jalen Walker out of Georgia, 19.5%. Mike Green, 17.8%, but he had the sacks, right? Donovan Ezaraku, 14.9%. Shamar Stewart, 13.4%. Nick Scorton, or Scourton, however you say it, 12.2%. And then Michael Williams, 11.5%. Really interesting because there's 3 players on this list right here the Packers have already had top 30 visits with Michael Williams rounding out that list, Shamar Stewart at 13.4, and the leader of the pack here at 23.4, James Pierce Jr. I thought that was really interesting, man. Has anything changed on you and the research you've done in James Pierce Jr.? I'm really excited to talk to Dave Hooker tomorrow about it, man.
Nothing's really changed for me. Still think he's one of the fastest dudes as far as that, like, first step, off the snap kind of guy. And, for all the fans out there that, complain about our pass rush, you can't be mad drafting a guy like this. He's going to help you in that department. My only concern would be his fit in a 4-3 scheme.
Right.
Maybe that's something we can touch on tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, we hit on it a little bit last night too, and I'll try to get you up to speed here. But Joseph said I was really hoping for a 65%. Hey, there's always time for a
65%.
65%. That's what I'm gonna hate to see Mark Murphy go, man. I think he's done one hell of a job. That
Amen.
dude, class act. I love that guy. So what was see? Joseph gets me off track here. What were we just talking about? Oh, you were talking about the 4-3. So we uncovered last night they had a linebacker position at UT called the Leo position, and it's kind of like a jackbacker, one of these guys that's a hybrid essentially. In Notre Dame, they've got a Viper, same thing. He's a guy who can rush the passer and also drop into coverage. So they kind of played him at Leo. He's kind of how when the nickel really took over in the early 2010s in the league, and everybody got away from their base defense because they were just matching that 11 personnel. Remember how the slot corner, they called it the star, and everybody was crazy about the star position and the nickel corner. This is kind of the new buzz here, right, in college football anyway. So hopefully we'll get a chance to ask Dave Hooker about that as well. Like, hey, the fact that he played Leo, will he be okay just putting his hand in the dirt all 3 downs and setting the edge and playing the run a little bit too? Because that's definitely his weak spot in his game. But boy, as a pass rusher, this dude, man, I don't know, man. I'm excited to see. You guys know how I feel about it. I'm not a Tennessee fan either, guys. I grew up hating Tennessee. I live in Tennessee, but I grew up hating Tennessee because they always kicked our ass in football. Now they're kicking our ass in basketball. Me no likey that. Not that I'm a huge basketball fan, but we always said, yeah, we'll wait till basketball season as if I cared. And now that ain't working out. So pray for us over here, all us Kentucky fans. But again, I'm not a huge UT fan. I don't root against them necessarily because, it's good for the economy when UT's good at football. Everybody getting drunk spending money down here in Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with James Pierce Jr., man, the way he looks on our board, bro, I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know why people don't like him as much. And that's why I wanted to get Dave Hooker on here to go, is there really character issues or not? Because that's the only snag on him. That's it.
And that's probably the only thing that would bounce him out of the first round is if there's any kind of validity to that. Other than that, he's in my opinion, a surefire first round pick.
But we got him in a 12 spot.
Yeah.
And you're talking production, you're talking athletic ability. He was a team captain. That's the other thing. Like when they say, oh, he was a bad teammate. Who said that? Oh, an unnamed scout. Oh, okay. Lions season. Like, well, he got pulled over with no license. Y'all would hate my family, let me tell you. It's just I look at those things and it's just like, check it off the list, check it off the list, check it off the list, Yep.
And on paper, he's a guy who's gotten better every year.
Right.
I mean, you just going back to 22 and just looking up to last year, man, just constant improvement.
Yeah. And listen, Goody did his due diligence, but if I were to find a negative in terms of the Packers probably won't draft him, the only thing I can come up with if the personal issues check out in a positive is he wasn't a Senior Bowl participant,
Yeah.
It's the only other thing, really is. So, yeah. So, James Pierce Jr. in the 12 spot. And hopefully Dave can make it tomorrow, and he's a busy man. If he has to cancel, completely understand. But I'm excited to have that conversation with him and see what a guy covering UT really thinks about it. So
for sure.
Here we go. Antonio Universe. Swinson looks like a steal in the mid rounds. Man, I didn't know much about Swinson, Antonio, until I heard Greg Cosell talk about him, and Greg Cosell raved over him. I'm going to try to matter of fact, let me just go. You got anything else you want to add to the James Pierce Jr. talk here, Tim?
No, just looking forward to continuing this tomorrow night, with an insider. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go find Braden Swinson real quick, if I can spell his name right. There we go. Popped right up. So, yeah, mid-round, that sounds about right there, Antonio. We've got him in the 85 spot on our board. And, again, you'll notice the Greg Cosell, the 5-point bonus. I'm going to go try to look up his RAS real quick. It's still spinning, man. RAS must be working overtime, Tim, because I can't even get this out. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't an RAS for him yet. Last time I checked, we did not have one. But he's an intriguing prospect, man. It's one of those guys that the tape really, really pops from Braden Swinson. You got anything? How would you feel about the Packers not taking an edge in the first? Let's say they go corner in the first or wide receiver, right? Let's say they go a different route in the second round. Let's say they go corner first, wide receiver second, and then they come back and get or even a 3-tech in the first, wide receiver in the second, however you want to look at it. And then you come back, let's say in the third round, and get Braden Swinson at edge, man. The way Greg Cosell talked about how he can rush the passer, pretty phenomenal, man. I would be okay with that.
I would too. Because to me, like if you're going to go edge, then you're going to swing for the fences and take an edge in the first round, or early, possibly trade up and try and get something in the second. But I'd be a bigger fan just by, looking at what my interpretation of team needs. I'd rather see edge picked later in the draft, mid rounds, third, fifth round and beyond. So yeah, Braden Swinson looks like one of those guys, man. 6'4", 250. It's a big boy. And, I'm looking at his PFF grade from last year, 83.3. The guy is an absolute monster. And another guy that you can look back the last three to four seasons and just see constant improvement. So it'd be nice to see an RAS on him. But other than that, I would feel great about him third or fourth round if he's there.
His RAS is still incomplete, and it's going to be incomplete going into the draft. He was 6'3", 255. You'll notice on our board here, Tim, he's got the hard eyes, so that means he does meet the athletic threshold. Or let me put it this way, he didn't run the 40, okay? He didn't do the explosion testing. He crushed the shuttle and the 3-cone, scoring having a 4.33 shuttle, a 7.13 3-cone, both scoring in the 8s. His arm length, 33 inches, right? So not running the 40 and not getting the explosion grade with the broad jump and the vertical, we're not disqualifying people from the threshold if they're lacking information, okay? Now, if they did everything and they didn't check out, then they won't have the heart emoji, and okay, that's someone that's not there's no way possible they could have met the threshold. But the Packers have met with him, and he was a team captain. So I'll be okay with him in the third round for sure, man. That'd be great value in the third.
Another 34 guy, though, so another one you might want to put a little asterisk. How well can he play in a Jeff Hafley 4-3 scheme?
And if I hadn't heard Greg Cosell, I would be concerned about it. But hearing Greg Cosell just talk about this dude is one of the more polished pass rushers in the entire draft. He knows how to use his hands. He's got a counter to the counter move. He's one of these dudes, kind of like Mike Green. When you look at the tape of Mike Green, I know there's personal issues there. Don't get me wrong, character issues. But when you look at Mike Green, he has a damn game plan. You can tell he studies the guy that's going to be blocking him, and he sets him up like a boxer. Jab, jab, hook, step around hook, or step around uppercut. Like it's just for everything that opponent is going to throw at him, he's got a counter move to it, and he's thinking one or two steps ahead. He really is. So Braden Swinson kind of sounds like the late round version of Mike Green. Obviously, he's not an athletic freak like Mike Green. And Mike Green, man, if he can get his head out of his ass, that dude, he can be a great football player. It's just when you hear you hear the same problem at multiple stops, it's got to raise some a little question in your mind. So,
yep. The question is if that does in fact hurt Mike Green's draft stock and he's on the board for us, you got to start asking yourself, are you willing to take a shot? Because I mean, we're known for not doing that, right? We like high character guys in Green Bay, but if he's an absolute freak of nature, you got to wonder.
J. Cole says, I can see Mike Green or James Pierce going to the Lions. I could too. Tell you where some people are mocking James Pierce too.
Minnesota.
Philadelphia Eagles, 32.
Oh, wow.
That would just make all the sense in the world, wouldn't it, Tim? They just get another stud edge defender, and all of a sudden you got Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in the middle plugging that gap, and then you got all of a sudden you got a James Pierce Jr. screaming off the edge, and of course, just like Jalen Carter, everybody's, he's a bad person, hasn't gotten into any trouble whatsoever since being in the league. Yeah.
And people change, right? I mean, you could have character issues coming out of college. I mean, I'm sure these guys aren't the first people to do stupid things in college, and you can grow up a little bit and become a professional and you put that behind you and continue to grow. So it's not necessarily a deal breaker, although, obviously any kind of criminal stuff, that would be a deal breaker if that does end up happening. But, I think it's fair to give guys the benefit of the doubt at the same time. You got to consider these character issues when you're looking at a prospect, but, it doesn't always have to be a deal breaker.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right, man. Coach Lynn says, Ezaraku, in the same way he has a plan at edge, Also, great hand work, good stuff there. We've got him in the 31 spot on our big board. Here's the only problem that I see with him, Coach. And you guys know how I feel about this. I'm not a threshold junkie. Like, I'm willing to break the threshold. I want a good football player. That's just the way I see it. He's 31 on our board. He was a team captain. The Packers have met with him. They must have met with him at the Senior Bowl. He's a Senior Bowl, so that checks the box. Yep. We'll see if they schedule a top 30 visit with him. Although, I got to be honest with you, I would be a little surprised if the Packers did a top 30 visit with Ezeraku, because Jeff Hafley already got a real good look at him at Boston College, right? So there's really no need to waste the top 30 if his college coach had all that time with him at Boston. I'm pretty sure he played for him. I don't know. I don't think he was a recent transfer. Of course, if he becomes a top 30 visit, then we'll dig into that information and bring that to you. His RAS was an 8+. I haven't heard Greg Cosell say anything about it, but the athletic threshold, he did not meet the athletic threshold. And I can't remember if it was height, weight, reach, whatever it may have been. But, yeah, I would say, there you go. Joseph confirms half recruited him there. Yep. So I'd say he feels he's got all the information he needs on Ezeraku, right, Tim?
I would think so. And big shocker, Ezeraku is a high football IQ guy. What a big surprise here coming out of Hafley's system there in Boston College. So that's a guy that's definitely going to translate to the NFL. You wonder where he would go too. Ezeraku's what on our board? I can't read it.
31.
31. I've seen him as high as 17 on other boards. So, he could fall out of the first round in theory, or he could go earlier than a lot of people think too. So another guy that you're right. Maybe they didn't waste a visit on him because they got the intel they need already.
Yeah, could be. Gamer guy in the chat says, if Mike Green is there, he's definitely got to be the pick. We've got Mike Green at 18. That would be great value for pick 23. But again, you see this purple box right here, gamer guy. It's the off the field concerns. And again, if Goody takes him, then that means Goody, and listen, they hire private detectives to do this background work and everything. They've got former federal, police officers and all kinds of stuff to really dig into the backgrounds of these players. So if that's the pick at 23, if Mike Green's on the board and they run that card up, also a wrestling background and a team captain, man, that means that Goody said, all right, everything checked out, nothing to worry about there. And you just got I think he led college football in sacks, if I remember correctly. So absolute stud in Mike Green, but just that off the field stuff, man, especially in today's age, man, you got to really, really pay attention to that stuff for sure.
I agree.
Anything else, Tim, you want to hit on before we wrap up, big dog?
No. That being said, though, I still think Mike Green is probably a Detroit Lion at the end of the day.
Definitely
seems like a Lion type of guy.
Yeah, on the surface, I agree, man. It sure seems that way. Let's give away an autographed card. You want to, Tim?
Let's do it. An autographed rookie card.
That's right.
Should I cue up the music?
You're ready to go.
So we've got a Katan Oladapo. All right, Katan Oladapo. Let me type this in. I didn't do my work before we went live. That's why I'm trying to buy a little time. Got some good music while we do it, though. Katan Oladapo, autographed rookie card. Mr. Ola, Home Depot himself. By the way, AFAM, some nice pants here if you want to buy them. Those are wide leg pants for women there, so go get you a pair of those, AFAM. All right, somebody in the chat, give me a number from 1 to 10. We got to shuffle this board so y'all don't accuse me of rigging it like you always do. All right, so give me a number as quick as possible. 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Fred McFarley says 5. All right. We're going to go 5. 2-0 for this. What the hell's your problem? 3.6? Like, how much? Unbelievable. All right, we're going to go with Fred McFarley. He was the first one in 5, okay? You know what? So this isn't rigged, okay? Let's go with Fred McFarley's 5, and 2-0 for this is 3.6, and let's call it 8. Let's round up to 9. Now it can't be rigged, all right? So we're going to shuffle it 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times with the shuffle there, okay? So we're going to spin it 3 times. The first one it lands on will be the winner. If they don't come forward, then we'll give it to the second place. If they don't come forward, we'll give it to the third place. All right, here we go, Tim. You ready?
Ready to go.
All right, let's do it. The winner of the autographed rookie Katan Oladapo card from our Patreon and YouTube member page list is iRock. There you go. iRock is the winner. Let's spin it a second time here. Second place winner, if iRock is in the clink, we'll give it to Jordan Taylor. Jordan Taylor is the second place winner. And one more time, in case both those knuckleheads don't come forward, the winner would be
Fred McFarley said IROC is Jacob's burner.
I believe it. I believe it. Jason, that should be an easy one to find. Hey, Jason. Hey, Spartacus, come get your We'll see if we can figure out who that is. Hopefully we don't have to give it to the third one. So there you go. Again, IROC is the winner of the autographed Oladapo rookie card. So we'll try to run him down. If we don't hear from him, it'll be Jordan Taylor. If we don't hear from him, it'll be Jason. I'll have 500 people come forward and say, I'm Jason. So anything else, Tim?
No, not at all. I think that was great. What's next for the giveaway? What are we thinking? We've got another card, right?
Next, we got an autographed rookie Sean Ryan card. We've also got some jerseys we're going to give away. Got some really cool piece of memorabilia. We've also got a Patreon membership that United Bates donated. We're going to give that away one night. I just got to figure out how to give it away because, like I was telling Jacob this morning, we're giving away to the members of the Patreon group. If someone's going to be gifted a Patreon membership, then they're obviously, not going to be in that group. So maybe what we'll do is maybe we'll just include the YouTube members and then give them a shot at the Patreon group. That makes sense. We can do it that way.
Yeah, it'd be a good way to get a new member in the Patreon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it live on the show. That'll be cool.
Greg Rice says, suggestions, signed Cooper jersey. Hey, man, you find a signed Cooper? I got one signed Cooper jersey, but it's mine.
I was just going to say, that's on the wall, right?
It's going to go up here on the wall soon for sure. So we'll come up with some good. I know I've got a Dorsey 11s over. It's pretty pimp. It's a white Dorsey 11s autograph.
Nice.
So I think he might have signed it. I'll double check. I think he signed it Super Bowl champs or something too. So that's really cool. So
very cool.
All right. That's it. We're out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. Everything goes okay or goes as planned. We'll get Dave Hooker in here to give us the scoop on James Pierce Jr. and see if there's any legit concerns there from his perspective. But everybody hit that like button on the way out. Appreciate y'all making us a part of your evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.
And we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.